Thanks for staying with us. It's time for us to go through the front pages of the newspaper. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. I've got Mike with me. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start up with the Punch newspaper. Still on the abduction epidemic. Anti-kidnapping protests holds in Abuja today as 10 suspects arrested. Tinubu vows crackdown on kidnappers, agents of darkness, abductors kill hotel barman. Federal government saves 8 trillion naira from subsidy removal, forex reform, says Tinubu panel. And the refinery, Dangote investors gain 1.2 trillion naira. And naira plunges to 1,300 per dollar at the parallel market. And we also have your picture story of the explosion that rocked Ibadan yesterday as many feared dead. That's a pretty sad one. But then we're grateful that some investigation has begun on the kidnapping reports, that rocked over the weekend. Mike.
Okay. And then after that one, let's take a look at the Daily Independent. Okay. NCAA to review minimum 6 aircraft for intending airlines. The right underneath says stakeholders advise regulator on how to stimulate aviation growth. We also see here IGP asks DIG to coordinate upscale security strategies nationwide. Afenifere identifies state police restructuring as panacea to insecurity. Wike summons emergency meeting over Western insecurity in FCT. Fiscal federalism restructuring important for good governance. That is marking the 2024 gubernatorial poll. APC Edo stakeholders agree on direct primaries, rule out zoning. Party chairman Imuse resigns to contest for governorship ticket. I'll stamp out vestiges of Boko Haram and kidnappers and others. That's the president. Tinubu says Bwari assumed office at a very difficult period. Will continue to work from where he stopped. Above the flag there, we kept records expecting to be held accountable. Bwari says under his watch, nothing was done under secrecy. Shell to sell its Nigerian onshore oil and gas business for $1.3 billion. All of that on the front page of the Daily Independent.
All right. And of course, we still have the Guardian newspaper. And making the headlines here, federal government opts for conditional divestment as oil majors trade $4.5 billion assets. And here at by the corner of the paper, we have endless hurdles for Free Trade Zone Act 32 years after. And U.S. courts to repatriate over 5 billion naira stolen assets to Nigeria. And at the bottom of the paper here, we have still a picture story of the Ibadan explosion yesterday. The governor has called for calm as casualties and damaged buildings trail these incidents. And Wike summons emergency security meeting over kidnapping. I think to a large extent that's some good news. Also here we have inflation, currency depreciation undermining Nigeria's economic outlook. And you can find more of that story on page 16 of the newspaper. We also have your federal government's order on border closure still in force, says Custom. Interesting. State police restructuring security agencies panacea to kidnapping orders. And finally, we have here political class security chiefs promise action on killings, abduction epidemic. And you can find more on those headlines, more stories on those headlines, of course, on the Guardian newspaper. And I think, Mike, would you like to take Vanguard?
Okay, so Vanguard here. Let's take a look. The headline there, Tinubu week rise against insecurity, vow renewed action. Above the flag of the paper there, we can see NNPC should have privatized refineries before rehabilitation. Article, Shell reaches deal to sell onshore on-field oil fields for $2.4 billion. And there are conflicting figures in the different dailies. The exact figure is not sure. Based on what we have from these dailies, 83 illegal refineries uncovered in 1 week. I prepared myself for probe, Bwari. Then below there we can see buildings destroyed as explosion rocks parts of Ibadan. And FG building fiscal resilience to reduce foreign borrowing. That's from the finance minister. Sports, AFCON 2023. Nigerians should keep supporting us. Trust Ekong begs. We'll try, shall. Palliatives funds. There's plots to link Baja from a source on Supreme Court judgment. Don't throw Nasarawa into crisis. APC. All of that on the front page of the Vanguard, and of course you can check out the individual stories on the page numbers as you see there.
Okay, I'll take one final newspaper here. We have the Nigerian Tribune. Still on the explosion that rocked Ibadan yesterday. Explosion rocks section of Ibadan. And here on the riders here, security men flood part of Bodija Estate. Many injured rushed to UCH, other hospitals. Vibration from blast felt across city. Houses shattered, destroyed, malls affected. Government describes explosion as uncommon. Deploys security, paramilitary chiefs, fire service operatives, and NEMA staff part of rescue operation. Number of dead and injured unknown, says the police. So far, we have no reports. We have no numbers. No, you don't have a number of the casualties in the explosion, in the Ibadan explosion. But so yeah, let's check the top of the paper here. Why I didn't sack Emefiele, says Buhari, defends Nigeria redesign policy. Like Buhari, I have adopted policy of non-interference, says Tinubu. On Plateau attacks, Middle Belt, Southern leaders advocate state policing. And quickly, I'll just take stories here at the bottom of the paper. Of course, we still have picture stories of the Ibadan explosion here on the cover. And APC adopts direct primaries for Edo Guber poll. And you can find more of that story on page 13. And Ombu Gado tells Supreme Court to declare him winner of Nasarawa governorship election. And finally, on fiscal federalism, restructuring important for good governance, says Makinde. And Tinubu, Shatima, governors, others extol Akonde's mentorship, leadership virtues. And that's all we can take on the front pages this morning. And so go grab your own paper. I mean, you can find more of that stories and read up on them. And we have to head over to the kitchen now and see what's cooking already. Hey, Winfrey.
Can I go just